Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of SoTellUs Time. I know it's your favorite time of the week. It is Tuesday and you are ready for another SoTellUs Time episode to help your business grow. And today we've got a really good one for you. We're talking about future-proofing your business. It's about how the choices you make today are going to affect your future business. See, a lot of people, they're always wondering, why do certain businesses flourish or fizzle very quickly? I mean, some businesses, you just see it, like they take off. I mean, one of the best examples I can see or think of is there's Infusionsoft, which is now called Keep, and then there is ClickFunnels. And we got to see that firsthand. I mean, you remember that, Troy? Being at the Infusionsoft events, it was pretty amazing. They used to have their, what was that called? Icon? Is that what it was called? Yeah. Icon was their event. I mean, 5,500 people at this event, all business owners, totally amazing. And one year, ClickFunnels shows up and they're a vendor. And we're like, oh, this is kind of a cool system. And so we're looking at it and everything. And then, you know, they get kind of bigger and they get kind of bigger and we're watching them grow. And all of a sudden it's like they blew up and they just dwarfed Infusionsoft, which is now Keep. And it was amazing how they did that. And so one of the things that we want to talk about is kind of, this is what pertains, today's episode pertains to like even their growth. You see these businesses just take off very quickly or fizzle out very quickly as well. And then I would say this even pertains to businesses that kind of stay stagnant, right? Over long periods of time. And it's probably because you're not doing what we're about to talk about today. So, all right, Troy, I did read it a little bit because Troy, he did tease me last week that he was going to trick me one of these times and that I was going to do an intro and it wasn't going to actually be about that. So I did do a quick peek. I actually didn't really retain any of it because, you know, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't getting fooled, everybody. So if you didn't watch last week's episode, you better go back and watch that one because it was a really important one. All right, Troy, jump in. Let's get started.
All right. So we'll start with the quote today. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So basically, like, the decisions you make take time to mature, and that's both a warning and an encouragement to you as a business owner. So we're going to talk about making decisions and giving those decisions enough time to mature, but also taking action today so that we can change our business for the best, you know, in the future. So first thing we're going to talk about is basically like the lag between action and results, right? There's this natural delay that happens between when an action is taken and you actually get that outcome of that action in your business. Trevor is famous for saying, you know, basically the decisions that we make today are going to affect us 6 months, 8 months, 12 months down the road, right? Meaning that, you know, we might make a decision today and we're not going to see those results right away. You know, unfortunately, businesses cannot, a lot of times you can't pivot, you know, or turn on a dime. You know, it's going to take time for those things to happen. And we'll kind of talk about, you know, some examples of that. So for example, like marketing campaigns, right? They can take months to actually build traction. And we see this all the time with businesses. They're like, I'm going to try this new marketing method. And they give it 1 or 2 weeks and they're like, you know what? It didn't work. Cancel it. Stop it. I don't want to move forward. It didn't work. Right. And they didn't give it any time to build any traction to actually see the results. So marketing is a place that we see this all the time. Another one is hiring and training, right? When you hire a new employee or you train your employees, that pays off, you know, usually after 3 to 6 months. You know, you're not seeing an instant result, you know, and I know I've experienced this where we're like, oh my gosh, we're so busy. We got to bring on employees. And then we bring on an employee and then I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm even more busy because now I got to train this employee to do the job. And so instead of me just doing the job, I got to train them and then go back and double check their work and make sure they did it right and help them and fix it and, you know, retrain them. So, you know,
actually thinking about employees, that makes me think of another saying that I love, which is your emergency isn't my problem, right? When you didn't plan and prepare, it's not my problem to then fix that for you. And that actually, we should internalize that. And we should look at that in our businesses of when we're staffing up and hiring people. It's a really good lesson that because we're going to put a lot of weight on that employee. When we don't plan and prepare properly and we bring somebody on, we're like, oh my gosh, like, did I make a mistake? Did I hire the wrong person? It's like, we didn't even give them time to learn and grow and step into the role because we didn't plan. We were like in an emergency situation where we're like, we got to hire. And that's how I feel like a lot of people do that. And so you could easily end up missing out on amazing people and amazing talent because you failed to plan, right?
Yep. Exactly. So the other thing too is operational changes, especially when it comes to like new systems or software, that need time to integrate and for your staff to get comfortable, utilizing them. We all kind of want this like out of the box, instant. I start a new software and my company completely changes overnight and it's so much better, but we've got to realize that those decisions are going to take time. Right. And the effects from those decisions are going to take time as well. So, just really, you need to resist that instant results mindset in your business, because if you're always looking for that instant result, you're going to be changing your business so frequently, that you're not going to see any results, or you're going to have like this paralysis where you stop making decisions and making changes because you're like, it never works, right? So you got to make sure you give it that time. Now, let's talk about, again, giving your decisions time to work. So really, in this case, patience, is a business superpower. You've got to give everything time and you've got to, track it. So just to give you an idea, we always, again, everything that we teach you are things that we've learned in our business as well. And a lot of you probably know about one of our products, the Post Place. We launched that product, I think, back in 2009. And it's still an amazing product today. It does content marketing. But I remember when we launched it, we created the product. We were all super excited. We started, the marketing for it, and we didn't see results right away. Like, we're like, oh man, this really isn't working. Like, this is an awesome product. We know this is really, really cool, but the marketing just didn't work. And I know we were trying it for a little bit, and we're like, you know what? I think maybe we just made a mistake. Maybe we got to kill this thing, because we're spending all this money on marketing and we're not, getting new clients for the product. And we won't go into the full story of the, what happened with the Post Place, but we decided to be patient and we made a couple of changes with the marketing. One was incorporating videos from like video reviews from the clients that were utilizing the product. And that change, along with some time, ended up creating what became a multi-million-dollar product for us, right? That product has been going since 2009 and it still works today. All these years later, we have clients that are utilizing it today. We have new clients signing up on it and starting to use it. So, that's literally what, almost a couple decades that we've had that product and that product working and all the revenue that we've generated off of it. And had we been, impatient, we would have lost all of that, those millions of dollars in revenue, all of those clients, because we didn't give it the time and we didn't also evaluate and monitor it. And that's kind of the next thing. So one, you got to make sure that you don't pivot too early when you're trying something new. And then two, you need to make sure that you can evaluate the progress without uprooting the plan, right? Meaning, you've got to have checkpoints. You set checkpoints along the way that goes, okay, we're going to wait this long. We're going to check in and we're going to see how it's going. We're going to track our key metrics. You need to know what your metrics are so that you can track them. If your answer to, well, it feels like, that's not evaluating, that's not tracking, that's not anything, right? And that you can't make good business decisions off of it feels like. So you want to make sure that you have those checkpoints in place up front. You want to make sure you know what the key metrics are so that you can track those. And then you're going to look for leading indicators, not just lagging results, right? A lot of times we're just like, well, I'll see what the result is, and then I'll make a decision. And again, by doing that, you're probably going to make the wrong decision. You need to have those leading indicators that you're going, okay, if these indicators look good, then we keep moving forward, right? Because we believe we're going to get the result that we want. So, give yourself that time to make sure things are going to work. And then the next thing is, making the right decisions now versus delaying them. So basically, if you want the beginning of next year to be awesome, you have to act now, right? So we're in the middle of the summer. The decisions you make today are going to affect your business the beginning of next year. So you need to be thinking forward, on those decisions and go, okay, what do I need to do today to make sure that January of next year is going to be awesome, right? I start the year off right. So, you really should ask yourself, what kind of business do you want in the next 6 to 12 months, right? Have a goal. This is what it's going to be. And then start taking action to move towards that goal. So areas where you could take action today are investing in team training, right? If you make your team better today, if you start investing in that today, come January of next year, you're going to have an awesome team, right? Your team's going to be so much better than they are today. Upgrading your marketing strategy. Again, we've talked about that already, but what do you need to be doing now to make sure that your marketing, the beginning of, next year, is going crazy and working really, really well? Also streamlining your operations. What can you do now in your operations? What changes can you make, whether it's software or SOPs? What can you do now that's going to affect the business down the road? It was interesting. I was talking to a business owner just the other day, and they were telling me about all the different systems that they're utilizing in all these different places, and how their team is just bouncing from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. I go and I make my phone calls in here, and I look up the notes for the customers in here, and I send text messages to the customers in this system over here, and I reply to the review over here. And they literally had like 10 different systems. And I was like, wow, like what if you could just streamline that entire process and you could go to one place and do all of those things, right? So that your team wasn't living in 10 different systems. They're living in one system or maybe 3 systems. And so again, but those kind of changes have to start now so that, in the next 3 months, 6 months, your team is just cranking because they're working in one system, right? Another thing is like building a referral or a review engine, right? If you want to get referrals from your customers in the next 3 to 6 months, you got to build the system now and start reaching out to these customers. And, same thing with your reviews. If you want to build your reviews and get more reviews, you got to start now to do that, right? Put a system in place to get reviews. Because if you wait 6 months, well, you've lost 6 months of reviews from, those customers that you've been working with. So be proactive. What you ignore now becomes a problem later.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, as business owners, a lot of times we're firefighters. We're putting out fires every single day. And by doing that, we're just delaying the bigger fires down the road, right? Because we're not preparing for down the road. Anything you want to add, Trevor?
A couple of thoughts there. I like what you were talking about. And it's funny because one of the things that I really think people miss on is their company's reputation. It's funny. All the time I hear people like, oh, well, I just, we don't really focus on reviews. We don't really focus on that. Okay, great. So you don't care about your reputation. Or, oh, well, I looked at this system, I looked at that system, and it's just kind of expensive, Oh, okay. So your reputation isn't worth very much to you. It's not very valuable, right? Because you don't want to invest much into it. So really, again, I want to just say that in all things, not just reviews, right? That's just an example because that's what you were just talking about, but in your marketing, in, your employees, in your systems and your processes, what are you willing to invest in it? What is it worth to you? What is it worth to you to have a good system that actually helps your business grow and helps your employees succeed, which then in turn helps your clients succeed or find success, right? With whatever it is that your service is. Same thing with your reputation. Same thing with your marketing. What is your business worth to you? And I can tell you that what you're willing to invest, whether that's time, energy, effort, or money, because I get it. Like, we don't always have money, right? So maybe it's time, energy, and effort. What are we willing to invest and what is our business worth? And that's the same thing. And in that mentality of what we invest, right, today, meaning what we do today for our business, really determines where we are sitting 6 to 8 months to 12 or 2 years from now. So the results you are experiencing today are from decisions that you implemented or didn't implement earlier in your business. And you need to really start thinking about that. Everybody wants instant results, and it's just not how longevity is created in businesses. We've been in business for 25 years. In that 25 years, we have never had a year that we didn't grow. Never. And I'm talking pandemics and economy crashes and housing market crashes and recessions and all these things that we've been through in the last 25 years. We've never had a down year from the previous year. We've always been able to grow. Why? We're always thinking forward. It's not about the instant result. In fact, in a totally different way, I'm listening to a book and it's called the Let Them Theory. And in there, it talks about it's the psychology. And we always say marketing is psychology. You're speaking to people through your marketing. Your business is speaking to people through the services that it provides. And they talk about in there how we're always wanting the instant result. We go towards the things that feel easy and simple and comfortable. But the funny thing about that is the long-term result of that is no growth. And that works for business too. That's not just personally, right? So, all right, guys. Well, let's kind of recap here. Your future business is built with today's decisions. If anything, if that's all you can remember from this episode, which if that's all you can remember from this episode, you better freaking turn it back on. You better restart it, okay? Because we got a lot of little gems in here. But your future business is built with today's decisions. So what I want you to do is I want you to pick one long-term decision or investment that you need to make in your business. Stop looking about what's going to happen tomorrow. What about 6 months, 8 months, 12 months from now? That's how you build a business that lasts. And then I want you guys to implement it in your business if you can this week or next week, whatever that looks like for you guys. Write it down. Write it down. Writing things down helps you achieve things. There is power in the pen. And that is been said since, who knows, biblical times, probably. And so there is power in the pen. Write it down. Hang it on your wall and look at it every single day. You guys can do this. Stay consistent. The results are coming. Stay confident. The results are coming. And that is the biggest thing. Troy and I were just talking about this actually in a totally different conversation. But the reason that most people diets fail, exercise programs fail. It was funny. I was listening to this thing the other day and they were talking about hair growth and people who try to do hair growth systems and things. The reason that most of these things fail is because people quit doing them too early. They don't follow through. And that is literally our entire lives. I mean, goodness gracious, we just talked about business. We're talking about hair growth of all silly things. We're talking about relationships, friendships. In life, the rule of thumb is that consistency will gain results if you focus on the right things. All right. All right, everybody. Well, goodness gracious, we just love you guys so much. We love being here with you guys every single week. SoTellUs Time is just a passion project, right, Troy? I mean, we don't make money off of SoTellUs Time, and we're not looking to either. We just want to spend time with all of you each week, helping you make choices that, you know, are a lot of times little steps in the right direction, because a lot of little steps, right, make it up the mountain. It doesn't, you don't just take a big step and you're on the top of the mountain. It's a lot of little steps. And I always say, Troy probably hates this saying, and I say it all the time. I'm like, how do you eat an elephant? Elephants are huge. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? It's the only way to finish an elephant. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for your support. We love you. We appreciate you. I just saw a stat the other day of how our YouTube channel is even growing. So awesome. Check us out on YouTube. You can just search SoTellUs, and I believe even SoTellUs Time will pull us up, but you'll see the episodes. Thanks, guys. Like, share, comment, and we will check you guys out on the next episode of SoTellUs Time.